Welcome to the Skate Like You podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mark, Skate Like You podcast, skatelikeyou.com. I am here with the one and only Heather Groll, also known as Hurricane Heather. How's it going, Heather?
Oh, it's going wonderful. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you again so much for doing this. I'm so stoked for this. You wouldn't even believe it.
I'm very excited too.
So the first, I got to tell you, just so we can get some semantics out of the way here, because just so everybody knows, we already established prior to hitting record that I know who Heather is. She doesn't have a clue who I am. That's all good though. I'm fine with that. So the first time I know the first time I saw you was at Neville or the Steel City a couple years ago. Like the last time they had it at they did the thing at Denora on Friday night. Do you remember going to that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was whenever the Steel City Shuffle had partnered with Denora, and Denora took one night and Neville took the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be the third Steel City since then. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it was 3 years ago.
So, and yeah, that's the first time I noticed you. One is that was literally the first event that I had ever gone to. So yeah, like I had only been back in skating about a year. And then but I'd seen you, and it's funny. So you would Heather just mentioned, a couple people that she knew that had been on the podcast, one of them being Madison. And it's funny because I think I even talked to her about this. So if you watch her episode, or I talked to somebody about this, but because I had said to her, there are some skaters that when I see them, I have something sticks in my mind. Like with her, whenever I think of Madison, I would think just straight enthusiasm. Like when she's going, because it's just her whole body, right? Her head and everything, right? So this might seem weird, but I literally associated something with you the first time I saw you and since then. And it might sound strange, but I was like, she's got that airport charisma. And I don't know if you know what that means, okay? But let me explain. What that means is that you go to an airport and you can see hundreds, maybe thousands of people, but there's going to be somebody that just stands out in the crowd. And, I mean, they have that thing, right? That whatever that it thing is. And I'm telling you, when and I watch people react to you too, any other time I've seen you skate, and you have that thing. You had super charisma on the skate floor. And honestly, you tell me if I'm wrong, most of it I think stems from the fact that you look like you are having the time of your life whenever you're doing it. Does that make sense at all?
No joke. I've heard that many times.
Yeah, man.
Many times. Yeah.
It can't be hidden. It can't be hidden. So it's a compliment. It's not. I'm not trying to be creepy. I swear to God.
Although it's a compliment, and some people may be envious of that charisma. It's also sometimes a curse, because there are times where, I've gotten an opportunity to talk to people later on down the line, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I had a huge crush on you, but you were just off doing your thing and you were too intimidating. I didn't want to talk to you." And I was like, wow, I'm single all that time for nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Where were you then? Yeah, absolutely.
I would never back down, because of somebody feeling intimidated. But at the same time, yes, you are right. Whenever I skate, it's almost like all the walls are knocked down, and we're just one source of energy, and I'm feeding off of it. The music, awesome. The dancing, just the rhythm, especially with synchronized dancing. I did a lot of jam skating in my day, and when you have a jam skate partner or a whole line of people that are all doing the same movements, there's just a true sense of elevated endorphins and dopamine that's going off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the reason I do it. I know that for me, I say this a lot. I get real cheesy when it comes to skating, but I skated the first half of my life. I don't remember learning how. I grew up in this little podunk rink in Maine. I'm from New England. My brother, I have an older brother and an older sister. They both worked there, and then I ended up working there. But the first half of my life, that's all I did, and to me, and it's even more so, I think, coming back as an adult, you know, I find it's like the most authentic version of who I am, you know, when I'm doing that. Like, and I always say to people, I don't know what that says about me in like my normal life, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just feel like this is like where I'm the most honest and I'm the most comfortable being myself. And like, yeah, I don't find that anywhere else. But yeah, so I mean, I get it to a certain degree, I think, but yeah. All right. Well, look, one question I do ask every single person I have on here, do you remember the first time you put on skates?
No, I was 3.
Okay.
I was very young. I do have a couple of very funny early moments though.
Right
There
on.
was I grew up in Canonsburg. And actually, if you're familiar with Denora and Canonsburg were actually sister rinks, as they were both built by the same person,
Okay.
Floyd Shoup. Floyd and Jan Shoup had built both of those rinks right around the same time. And then whenever Floyd and Jan retired, they gave one rink to one daughter and one rink to the other. The daughter who had owned Canonsburg, which was my home rink.
Okay.
She unfortunately had passed away of cancer while her parents were still living. So her parents actually came back up from Florida and ran the rink until their daughter's ultimate passing. And then the other rink, Denora, was owned by Linda, and it was run by Linda and Kylie. And as you know, it was recently sold to the new owners.
Yeah.
But Canonsburg was my home rink, and my dad would take me and my siblings skating every Wednesday. And the bargain was, if the homework was done, we got to go to family session on Wednesday nights. So you bet your butt our homework was always done on Wednesdays. It wasn't done any other time, but Wednesdays it was important to get it done because that was skating night.
Hell yeah.
Back in the early days, me and my sister were mini rink rats, which means we never left the mini rink because we were still learning how to skate. And there was one time, it was the very last song, and my dad was out, skating his laps. My mom was trying to take our skates off and trying to get me and my siblings ready to go. And I was wearing black socks. And I thought, the lights are down. It's the last song. My dad's out there skating. He's never going to know that I don't have skates on my feet. So me and my black socks, I shuffled out on the rink. Well, of course, my dad very quickly realized that I was out there shuffling in my socks. And I'm thinking, how did he know?
Yeah.
How did he see? Kid logic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So very quickly it got shuffled off the rink and scolded.
Oh, man.
So my formative years were definitely spent in a roller rink. My hearing is a little damaged because of it, but no regrets there.
All right. Now, those the people that own those rinks, seeming something, I don't know if it was someone I actually talked to on here, but I thought I remembered that they used to host like artistic competitions a lot, right? Like
yes, national competitions too.
Yeah. Like when was that all going on?
Oh, that was in the early 2000s. They used to host it. They would host a very, very important international figure skating competition at the Denora rink. They would also host speed skating competitions there as well. And one year they did host nationals.
Okay. Yeah, because I for some reason it might have been JD that I was talking to. I'm not sure, but he was talking about how people, like, it was a thing. People that lived there, like, even if they didn't skate, attended. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. I mean, because rink or like the skate life is so insulary. You know what I mean? So it's really surprising to me that, I mean, it's awesome that they kind of had taprooted the culture like that or infiltrated, that area with it so much. Was it just that many people in that area were into skating?
Well, having a local roller rink sort of changes the dynamic of interest.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a local roller rink, where are all your birthday parties, your school events, your church events? They're all centered around the roller rink. So it becomes a staple of nostalgia for people that have grown up with a roller rink.
Yeah.
So tends to be more of a local thing.
So look, just like you, I don't remember learning how to skate. Like I kind of liken it to learning how to walk. Like I know I learned at some point, right? I just was thrown on so early. Same thing. Like there's pictures of it, kind of thing, right? And it's funny you can bring up Wednesdays though, because the first thing that I like, the one thing that I can remember, like my earliest kind of memory about the beginning, was we had at my rink. Wednesday nights was 6:30 to 8:30. Was $1.50.
Yeah.
And I remember though, I specifically remember like in first grade, like in school being like, oh, it's Wednesday, it's skate, like I'm skating tonight, and just being so excited about that. So you can't. So okay. So although just like me, you don't remember the first time you skated. When would you say that you could look back and like identify like, oh, okay, this is something I love to do? Like how old were you then?
Oh, I got that. I was begging the owner of the roller rink to hire me when I was a preteen.
Okay.
And I mean, there was really, oh man, I'm going to really throw myself under the bus here. Pretty much my entire life, I've only had two interests, and it was roller skating and boys. Like,
okay.
It just is what it is.
All right.
My whole life has always been surrounded in romance and roller skating. That sounds like the title of a good novel, or maybe a terrible novel.
Or horrible. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it definitely in my early, like preteen years. So we had our Wednesday nights, and in my preteens, I started to become old enough to start to go on to the roller rink on my own. So my parents would drop me off on Fridays and Saturday nights, and it was I got this group of friends that actually carried with me to adulthood and helped me become the skater that I am now. So in our teenage years, we had the Cannonsburg Roller Skate, and the roller rink unfortunately closed when I was 13. Now, at the age of 13, my dance partner, we had our little group. He had just gotten his license. He was 16, I was 13, and we tried ice skating for a summer. Do not recommend. It just didn't work for us.
Okay.
So we didn't spend too much time going down the ice skating route. So he said, well, Denora's not that far away. Neville's not that far away. Now, at the time, at 13 years old, just turned 14 by that time, Denora and Neville were 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
That was so far.
Yeah.
So we all got in his car. We started going to Neville on Friday nights and then Denora on Saturday nights. And we started gaining a lot of friends at both of those roller rinks. And we were observing different people doing like the little jam skate stuff where they'd skate in a straight line, doing the same foot movements. Mm-hmm. And me and this friend of mine were like, that looks pretty easy. We can do that. So me, the driver of the vehicle, and one of our other friends from the Cannonsburg roller rink, we started calling ourselves a travel team and started doing just these basic stride movements.
Okay.
And we called ourselves the Steel City Striders. And we had that group for a very, very, very long time. That's where I learned to jam skate. And of course, the more adventurous we got, the bigger the friends group we got.
Yeah.
And we started becoming friends with the people on the speed skating team at Denora. So anytime they had a speed meet, we would travel with them to wherever they were competing. And we would just go because everybody from all the visiting teams would all skate session the night before. So we were like groupies. Yeah. We'd show up just to party for the weekend and to go skate on Saturday night. We started going, our circle started getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where we'd spend weekends in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Akron, all over Pennsylvania, West Virginia. We spent a lot of time at Bridgeport, West Virginia. And then eventually it went to Chicago and Detroit and Baltimore and even as far as Atlanta and Texas. And it got pretty awesome. We never competed as a group,
Okay.
but I'd say we were looked at as pretty darn good. And eventually, if we would tell our local friends that we were coming into their town, they'd sometimes throw house parties because the Steel City Striders were coming into town.
Yeah, yeah.
So at that point, we were in our late teens, early 20s. And then I discovered this thing called roller derby.
So, okay, here, before we jump into that, I got
Yeah,
a couple
it's a different
things.
chapter.
Well, a couple things popped out to me. So one is, so this is like from your age, about 14 to like the Steel City Striders, 14 to about what age?
19.
19. Okay. Now
Yeah.
you're traveling all over the place eventually. Like it sounds like it kind of evolved, right? Like the further
Oh, yeah.
yeah, further west you went or south, over time. But you're not competing. So like, are you guys sponsored in any way at all? No, you're just on your own dime, just going out and just showing out anywhere, basically.
We would be asked to do shows all the time. We actually did a grand opening for the Special Olympics.
Oh wow. Okay, but this did translate into some type of professional aspect to a certain degree, at least it sounds. Or maybe some paid gigs every once in a while. Is that what you're saying?
You know what? In the later years, me and the one of the people that was left over from the group, we had done some paid gigs. So that's actually kind of where the story gets a little interesting and also a little bit sad. So our group had kind of gained a few members, lost a few members, and eventually we changed the name from the Steel City Striders because apparently striding is actually a Pittsburgh term for that jam skating. Okay. But because jam skating was the better known word, nobody in Cincinnati knew what striding was. So now pressure took over and changed.
So when you say like striding, like are we talking like trucking or like shuffling?
Shuffling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that like, yeah, it's so funny. The whole like terminology as this stuff goes, because like, I know like there's a whole, there's a bunch of people that hear jam skating and they're thinking you're in the middle, basically b-boying, you know what I mean? Yep. So, but you're talking like basically shuffling and jam the whole nine. Okay.
And that's actually why I didn't really I was not personally on board for changing the name because jam skating was very center of the rink.
Yeah.
Indicated center of the rink.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So now so what is motivating this for you to travel?
Honestly, the best parts about it, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was super fun showing up to a rink with a crew. And, it's funny because very similar to Maddie, you spoke with Madison. Madison has 3 guys and she's the only girl.
Right.
That was actually my group dynamic too.
Yeah.
Fun little fact too. Some of her group calls her Mini Heather.
Really? She did not bring that up. Okay.
I don't know if it's a compliment or not. Just
I would think it is, but
we're definitely friends. But I think it's sometimes when she does the more wild things, they're like, "You're Mini Heather." I'm like, "Oh, Maddie, I'm sorry." So, our group dynamic, we had 3 guys and myself, and we would do this every single weekend. Sometimes we would spend an entire weekend in a new city. Other times we would spend the night somewhere just to hit somewhere pretty far on Friday night. And then Saturday night we would do Denora or we'd do something local. That was most of our 20s. So I said that initial dynamic ended at my late teens from 13 to 19. By the time I was about 20, that was the 4 of us that had stuck together for the next decade.
Gotcha. And I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead.
So is there, and this might have, the dynamic as far as like what you were doing when you would travel to these rinks might have changed or shifted over time. But like, are you going into these places like kind of battling like local crews and stuff like that? Like, is that like, are you like showing up like, hey, Steel City Stride is in the house? You know what I mean? Like,
honestly, here's how it would go. We would show up, we wouldn't call attention to ourselves or do any bells and whistles. And I personally like to hit the floor and just start dancing immediately.
Yeah.
Everybody else on our team is like, give it a song or two. People are going to recognize we're not from around here. And then you go into like the striding and the really cool stuff. It was about two things. It was about showing off because it was fun.
Hell yeah.
And we actually were really good. We really were. There's not many videos or anything out there of our old group, but we really had something going, and I have yet to actually see a crew like us. Like,
nice.
There's other people that are extremely talented, but we had so many dances and routines in our pocket, and one of us would be calling them out, so it looked like we could go an entire night with never repeating the same dance.
Wow.
Like, it was cool. And we never practiced.
Okay, I literally was just going to ask how often are you like coming up with this stuff? Never. We would just, if one of us came up with something new, we'd work on it at the session, and we're like, oh yeah. Okay, I got it. We were so good at reading each other, reading the moves, keeping everybody at the corner of our eyes and keeping our heads up, that it just always looked like we were in sync with each other. Really, we were just having fun. And I'm sure that most of this is an absolutely positive experience, right? But I've got to wonder, there's got to be times though where you guys show up at a rink and people are like, "Who the you think you are?" kind of thing, right?
Yes. And I actually have two fun stories about those incidences, but so the other purpose of us traveling and doing these things, especially from my main dance partner that came all the way up with me from Cannonsburg.
Yeah. He
was obsessed. His name is Justin, by the way, and he went by Dizzle. That was his nickname.
Okay.
Almost everybody had a nickname on our group. Right. So Dizzle was obsessed with teaching kids or anybody, any locals, anybody that wanted to learn. Mm. And what's so cool about that is that if you go to Neville, you go to Denora, you go to Cincinnati, you go to Cleveland, you go to Bridgeport, West Virginia, you show up and they're doing a very familiar stride. Hmm. It's been at least, oh my gosh, it's been 14 years since we showed up. And I can tell you why I know that date. It's been 14 years since we showed up and showed out. But people are still doing the Steel City Jammers strides. Yeah. And it kills me.
Hell yeah. I mean, you left your stamp on a culture, man. I mean, like that's a big thing. It's huge.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
So the sad part, we had our four, and we were all very, very close and traveling together. And in 2011, we lost one of our members. We lost Justin. It definitely put a fracture on things. Mm-hmm. I mean, people grow, people change, and you hold people in your heart as you move on, because there's nothing else to do but move on and just hold them in your memory. But Justin was, him and I started skating together when I was 13. And we traveled all over the place together. He taught me everything I know. He was this, if people think I'm a bright light, he makes me look dim. Because he was just a wonderful human. And he was responsible for the majority of the dances and the routines that we did. And unfortunately, at the age of 29, he lost his life.
Oh my goodness. Jeez. Yeah. So how did that it must really shift some things as far as, I can't even imagine like the first time you get back together again, you know what I mean? And like that missing piece and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You must have felt it. Like it must have been very apparent and obvious. Yeah. Did it change? Did it change everything after that for you?
It did. I mean, right around that time, one of our team members was getting married and had kids. So, he took um, the appropriate life path for him at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And it was just me and the one other teammate for a while. And that was who we did a bunch of paid gigs. I mean, we flew to Vegas and got to do quite a few shows out there. Not like big shows, but shows for Rydell.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been to Venice, and we've done a couple of hired gigs. So him and I carried it together pretty well for a while.
So did you eventually become sponsored by Rydell? Is that what you're saying when you did?
I was with Rydell for 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so ignorant to, so like, yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I don't boast that and be like, yeah, Rydell sponsors Skater.
I just boast Steel City Strider. That's what I boast. Show up at your rink and show out.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's awesome though, man. I mean, so was there for you? Okay. And I do want to kind of move on to I really want to talk derby. But was there like a collective, or maybe even just for yourself, was there like an end goal or game in like being a crew and doing all this traveling, and like, was there something you were ever trying to get to, or was it just about skating?
No, I never sought out to be sponsored. I never sought out to compete or be the best. I'm not really a individual competitive person.
Okay.
If I'm with a team, I thrive off of the group thriving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
And also with the Steel City Jammers, I had mentioned that there was like going to the rinks was fun. Doing the skating was fun. It was fun looking like a badass, but it was the car rides.
Oh,
to be honest with you.
Oh, the traveling is, yeah.
Oh, we would just spend hours and hours and hours just ripping on each other.
Yeah. It was funny because, so like, we were very, it's funny. I don't know how much you've ever got to skate in New England or Maine, especially if ever, but like, everything is so individualistic in its style, it's so different. Like, it's even to the music is just completely random. It's totally all over the place. If you ever go up there, like it's like that all over the state, right? Like they don't mix music. It's like they play full album cuts of songs, and, but it's funny. I was talking to this guy, Derek. Derek Fitzgerald, who's the guy that he owns the one and only Happy Wheels. That like Happy Wheels was it wasn't a franchise, but there's a few of them in New England as I was coming up, and then they all closed. And he literally a couple years ago like resurrected like this one and only Happy Wheels, which is just amazing. But what's funny is that, and because I was talking to him about how Maine is such an island for skating, and trying to figure out what that kind of how that happened, and he was like, well, what's funny is that like a lot of people know in Maine, roads only go north and south. They don't go east and west. So like, that's why, like, and I know everywhere people do this all over the country, but in Maine, it's such a staple where if you're ever going to measure distance, it's always by time, because a 40-minute or a 10-mile drive could take 40 minutes because you can't go east or west, right? So what that did though is it made people like there wasn't a lot of like people traveling to rinks. Like you had your rink and that was it, and it just kind of created this very individualistic. Even the way, even the skates, like the way they accessorize them. Maine is the only place where you're going to see somebody on a suede boot, tongue tied down with a back brake, with a sure grip back brake on one of them. It's the only place, right? So it's just how it was. And the thing is, what's funny about that is that I get this little fly. That was like in the late 80s, like these older teenagers I would see, like that's how they were rocking their skates. And I was like, and like that, your skate was like swagged out if you had a back brake. Okay. Like, which is so funny, right? Because the whole thing is to not have brakes, right? Your wheels are your brakes kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
But it's crazy is that I recently went back up there, just traveling and stuff and skating rinks like in Mass and in Maine. And there's like these 12-year-old kids with like rocking that same style of boot.
No.
Yeah, it's still the thing, right? Like that's how it is. It's the style. But the whole point is that, you know, that whole kind of individualistic aspect of it, it's like no other place I've seen before. Which and the reason I mentioned that was because my point, if I wasn't such a ADD person, but was the time that I spent traveling skating, because we didn't do rinks, but what I got into around 12, I played ice hockey like my whole life too, and then roller hockey came to our rink, but I'm talking like international rule roller hockey, the ball, the curved stick on quads, right? I don't know if you've seen that at all, but it's like they use like a bowling ball, basically, like the size of a baseball. It's violent, it's fun. But there was this guy that had this rink way up north, and he coached the Maine Bulldogs, and everyone was way tall, like everyone was way bigger than me. But the guy that owned my rink was like, "Hey, you should come check out this kid down here." But anyway, that's the only way I got into traveling, because we would go to all these tournaments.
Yeah.
But it would be that thing of like, I remember feeling so cool because I was so young, and then like these 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds, and I'm in this car with them, hearing stuff I shouldn't hear, maybe sometimes seeing some things maybe I shouldn't see, right? Like hanging out with like a 16-year-old girl, and I'm like 13, like, and yeah, man, it was the time of my life. Yep. It was the time of my life. If my mom had a clue, let me tell you, it would have been it, but. Anyway, that, and we had a drill team. I don't know, like where we did the parades and all that kind of stuff in town. My sister was like the choreographer. I did more drill team bullshit I want to dance with somebody than I think anybody in history of roller skating. There's video of it, I swear.
I would love to see that.
Oh yeah. So, all right. So you up into your 20s, you're with the Striders, with your crew, you're showing up to rinks all over the country and just showing out, right? Having a blast, loving life. Yep. But then somehow, some way, and you'll tell us how, you got introduced to Derby. When was that?
So I was only 20 years old. It was 2006, and a friend of mine called me up, and he goes, "Hey, there's this girl that said she's looking for girls that could roller skate, and she's trying to put together a roller derby team." And I'm all of 20 years old. I've never even, I think I heard of roller derby, but I didn't know really what it was. And I'm like, I'm a girl, I can skate, sign me up.
Jammer.
Well, I was a jammer for a long time. Yes. Yeah. So, honestly, roller derby changed my life. It did. I mean, the jam skating was fantastic, and I had my crew, I had my friends, and of course there were many years of overlap, because we didn't lose Justin until 2011. I was in the best place possible. You know, you talk about the car rides and how special they are. Not to go back down sad lane, but when I had found out about my best friend and my dance partner's death, I was in the best place that I could have possibly been. I was in a van on the way home from a derby tournament, and I had my 3 closest derby teammates literally surrounding me in the back of this van. So you want to talk about, I am the luckiest person you'll ever meet in your life. And if I had to be anywhere to get that information, I was in the best place. So anyways, roller derby.
Well, I was gonna say that. So because your derby teammates, like they obviously are aware that you have this. There's this other aspect of your skating life.
Oh yeah.
So they knew how tragic that was for you, and just sounds like you were insulated, like right at the right moment.
I was.
That's good. No,
there wasn't a person in that vehicle that didn't know. The intimacy of my dance team and how close we were, and just they knew that I was the skater that I was because I was a jam skater.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So, no, roller derby, man, there's a lot to be said about that. So I'll try to give the short version. Yeah, 20 years old, didn't know what roller derby was. I was partaking in some probably not so holistic activities at the time, and roller derby just really centered me and grounded me and got me on a very good athletic path. It took me about 6 months to realize that it was a sport that was full contact. And whenever I found out that you actually had to hit people, I was like, can we do this without the hitting? And now I love it.
Yeah.
So
now I'm trying to flatten everybody. Yeah.
It's fun. Trust me.
Hell yeah.
Especially now with the team that I'm playing with, and I'll get into that in just a moment.
Sweet.
So in 2006, Steel City Roller Derby, formerly known as Steel City Derby Demons.
Okay.
We had changed our name after a while just because of the connotation of the word demon. We had formed the team in 2006. We were one of the first 26 teams in the world, which is unbelievable because now there's thousands of teams.
Yeah.
Thousands. At least hundreds.
There's a lot. It boomed in like the mid 2000s. It boomed.
So, yeah, and I'll tell you what, my early derby days, the first 5-6 years were like the Wild West. It's just, there are stories that I probably cannot and should not share on here. It was fun. It was just a wild group of women. We would travel all over the country. We even went to England. I went to Australia to coach, and we went all over the country and played this ridiculous full contact sport. And I retired from the women's team a couple of years back and I coached the juniors for a couple of years. And then I joined on with a brand new all gender team, which is who I'm playing with now, which is the Pittsburgh Undead.
Okay.
And there's just something about sharing the track with somebody 4 times your size. And, in roller derby, the cool thing about roller skates and knowing how to skate is it levels the playing field.
Hell yeah.
In any other sport, somebody 4 times my size, I'm not going to be able to move them. I'm not going to be able to do much of anything, but maybe smack into them like a brick wall and I would fall over, which has happened on the derby track for sure.
Yeah.
But with my jam skating background and just being a general rink rat, I don't, some people don't like that term, so I apologize if I offend anybody by that.
Really? That's offending people?
I've heard that. I've heard that feedback before, but God. I don't know. I kind of wear it with pride.
Please, yeah.
So, but yeah, I just, I've been playing with the Pittsburgh Undead for the last 6 years. In the fall, it'll be 6 years. And, yeah, it's definitely different than the women's team, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Undead is a awesome term. Rink rat, that's got to go. Undead, you know what I mean? What are we talking about? That's hilarious. That's so funny. I don't care. Like, I think it's hilarious. It's just so funny to me. I could not say it. I got to keep my mouth shut a lot of times. But and then I sit in front of a microphone.
Yeah, just between the jam skating and the derby, I guess I kind of picked up an enthusiasm for a lot of different types of skating, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Got to dabble in park skating and trail distance skating. I'd say one of the coolest trips and one of the most difficult feats I ever did was I skated from Key West to Key Largo in 4 days. It was miserable. I'm not going to lie.
So I have to ask, what do your feet look like after that, right? At the end of that? Rough? Pretty mangled?
I think from squishing my feet into skates for so many years, I've actually binded my feet. I was a size 9.5 when I was a teenager. I am all the way down to an 8.5. And it's from squishing my feet into skates for several hours, several times a week.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm calloused, like I'm forever calloused. I'll probably never be able to get a blister no matter what, which is, not a bad, it's, helpful obviously, but I don't think I've ever able to shrink that's pretty impressive actually. Wow.
So, okay, how on Facebook Marketplace, if you sell shoes, have you ever tried to sell shoes before?
Oh yeah, no, I sell sneakers. Yeah, I used to.
Oh, you sell sneakers. Okay, so are
yeah.
people hitting you up asking you for feet pictures?
No, I don't have that problem. No.
Yeah, okay, they do for me, and it makes me laugh so hard because I'm thinking, oh, buddy, there's no unseeing.
Yeah. You're a niche. This is a niche.
Buddy, trust me, leave this one behind.
Oh man. Oh, well, the cool thing about the derby thing, I kind of wanted to throw out there was, I remember and it might have been around that same time because, and we kind of mentioned it, there was like this boom of it, like somewhere in the 2000s, right? Where all of a sudden,
yep,
roller derby was like everyone was on a roller derby team, at least one person you knew, kind of thing. And I specifically remember that movie Whip It coming out.
Yeah.
And that really kind of brought it to the mainstream, to a certain degree. It was kind of like when that dodgeball movie came out and all of a sudden every YMCA and gym had a dodgeball team. It was like the same thing, right? So, and I talked to Jen Rankin about this, a few other, long-term hardcore derby women. And because I was an executive at the time and I had a woman that worked for me. And she one night we all went out to the rink. They wanted to get everyone to the rink, and I hadn't skated in a while, and I did fine. But she was like, "Oh my God, you should come ref. You should." I'm like, "Ref," and she's like roller derby, and I was like, "Oh, you're doing derby," and so here's the amazing thing. Like when she showed up, when I first met her, she was one of the most timid, one of the most shy, kind of like, yeah, just very, a loner kind of, just didn't, I don't know, just, it wasn't the most confident person you'd ever meet. Right. She started doing that, I think within 6 months of starting to work for us. And I would love to attribute all of her personal growth to working at our company, but in no way did it have anything. It was all about what she was doing in derby, right?
It changes you.
It really, and I literally went out because she asked me to, come check it out, at least come check it out. So I did. And I kind of skated around, and it just wasn't something that I was not back into skating at this point. I weighed a lot more. It just wasn't something that I was really going to want to do or whatever. But I kind of got hooked on this thing of like going and watching. It was exciting, and I was proud of her. And so a bunch of coworkers would go every once in a while to these meets and stuff like that. And then I got to know some of these other girls on her team, and just hearing like from women that like never skated before, but they just saw this thing and they were like, I want to do this. And there were like 5 women that I got to know, like, as far as like them just kind of telling me about their experience,
Yeah.
And I cannot, I swear, Heather, I 5 of the most amazing transformation stories of people's lives I've ever heard were among these women, and having never skated in their life, just showing up one day, which took a ton of guts just in itself, right, to do. And I just was like, wow, there's something major that's happening here for people. Like, this is,
oh yeah,
it cannot be unnoticed. It can't be unsaid. And I think, and the other thing too, though, was, okay, so, and I had to, when I was talking to Jen Rankin about this, I said, Jen, I need you to back me up on this, because the world's going to hate me if I say this. Right. Because I remember going and I'd be like, man, I thought like some of these girls would be a little bit better. Right. But Jen was like, Jen was just telling, as far as skating goes, you could tell there was just a lot of beginner skaters. That's all. Right. I just didn't anticipate it. And she's like, yeah, that's why every team looks for someone that has skated and that's their jammer, right? Like that's, yeah.
I
She's
didn't
like,
get a choice. I was
yeah,
assigned.
same exact thing for her, right? So, but what Jen was saying was that there was this boom of it. People got so like people were drawn to it. They wanted to do it no matter what, and it just took a little time for the skill to kind of match up with the popularity of the sport. So I'm not like, that's a safe thing to say, right? I'm okay saying I don't want everyone to hate me for saying that, but yeah. Does that make sense?
I actually have a very similar comparison.
Okay.
Very similar. Now some people may hear this and disagree with me, but while we're saying things that are what we feel is very honest and controversial, when I started in Derby, I never left the rink, and a lot of the people that I started with were, oh, I haven't been to the rink since the 80s. And here I come in as this, I don't want to say I was cocky at 20. I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to skate circles and I wasn't trying to show off or belittle anybody, or I wasn't even trying to teach anybody. I'm just like, I just like being here and being on skates. Yeah. I was a bit of a head in the clouds, young 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. My skating skill was up here, and it took a while for them to come up. And what had happened with my reputation was that a lot of the people in the Derby industry were like, oh, she's this really good skater. Now, if I was to look back at my 20-year-old self, I'd say, okay, I could stand up. I could do okay. But as everybody else started progressing and catching up to that same level, we all started growing together. But there was still this reputation that I was some big, fancy-footed skater. Right. I had a couple of moves, but honestly, it was the reputation from the early days that got carried over. And then every once in a while, I'd do like one little cool move, and everybody would go, see? Yeah. That solidifies it. And in a lot of people's images, it was way up here when really we were kind of all even together. Yeah. And that reputation had continued to carry with me for the next decade. So to your point and to what you were saying, it's, we all started out pretty low, but we grew together. Yeah. We grew together. And honestly, if I were to take my 20-year-old self, I'd be still middle of the pack right now. Yeah. 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 and I don't want to, I'm not taking anything away from the athleticism, the experience, anything. It was like the Lancaster area is where I was see this team, and it was just a team. Like half of them were like almost brand new to skating, right? But at the same time, this is what I'm saying though about how like who else get like literally walks on, right? Like rolls on, okay? Like that's crazy, okay? The guts that it took one just to show up and do something like that, right? Just to give it a shot. But yeah, I can't think of any, Heather, I swear I can't think of anything where I've seen people just find ways to shine like they probably never thought they could when they got involved. Yeah. Was that something that you experienced and saw? So I am on my 19th year of roller derby, and I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of derby players that I have gotten to know, and that's their story. Yeah. In 19 years of roller derby, you don't not see that. And that's the majority of it. You're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head with like, there's so many athletes that join roller derby because they think it's really cool and they look like baby deer on ice. And then you see them a year later. We actually have a skater with us right now. His derby name is Meat Shield Mike. Okay. And he played, he only started a year ago, and he was absolutely one of those baby deer on ice. And then he just made MVP jammer at the game 2 weeks ago. Wow.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's quite a journey.
So
Roller
you're
derby's a journey.
so you're still coaching? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So I am I'm still playing competitively. That wasn't the intention. The all gender team was supposed to be like a retirement thing, kind of like a beer league, but oops, we actually kind of got good. So, um, I'm coaching. I'm helping to coach the junior roller derby team here in Pittsburgh,
Wow.
and I play on the all gender team. So
No kidding. How new is that, the all gender concept to the game?
so interestingly, there was initially there was the women's league and the men's league,
Right.
and anybody who was non-binary, it was kind of like you put yourself where you see fit.
Okay.
The women's league blew up. It
Right.
blew up. I
Yeah.
mean, they've got the numbers by waves and waves and waves. There's a lot of athletes that play for the women's league.
Mm.
The men's league has just never had the numbers. It's just never been, I don't want to say it hasn't been as popular. It's just the women's league definitely dominated the sport. And I love it. Right. I love it.
I was going to say, which is kind of fair, because if you go any
What else
rink
do you
you
have?
go, well, yeah, and in skating in general, you go to a rink, it's so there's so much less female representation than there is the male representation.
Yeah.
At the skating rink. It's crazy. I mean, look, like your team, like you coming up, you were a quarter of your team, right? Like as far as the female presence, right? Like
Yep.
that's basically like a microcosm for skating, I think, at most rinks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's kind of like
Yeah.
when you're saying this, I'm like, well, I don't feel bad about that. Like, good for women. They finally got their piece. They got their piece right there, But anyway,
That's right. And
but
I
anyway,
mean, I'm not trying to diminish any gender, any identification or anything, but the men's team has never, or the men's league has just never had the numbers. They ended up opening up to all gender pretty early, like pre-COVID. And I mean, they had non-binary skaters, they had women joining, and it was just a hodgepodge collection.
mm-hmm.
And then right around the time of COVID, whenever derby teams were just, I don't want to say falling apart, but they were. I mean, COVID really reshaped the dynamic of many of the teams, because a lot of these athletes that have been playing for a decade plus, they took that opportunity to finally have a family, to get into other things. It was a good break for some of them. A lot of people have come back, but we've
Mm-hmm.
not the same as pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And it was almost a necessary shakeup.
Okay.
But what had happened with the men's league was that a lot of women and non-binary skaters were joining, and now their numbers have been significantly increasing. And Pittsburgh just didn't have the numbers to have an official men's team. So they rebranded and they said, we're an all gender team. And I was like, you know what? That is one of the very first teams, official teams that I've ever heard of that has branded themselves as all gender. I want in. I want in is something monumental. And now it's kind of the norm.
Yeah.
Like we do still have the women's leagues, and I absolutely love and appreciate the Women's Flat Track Derby Association for everything that they are, everything that they support, everything that they do. I spent my first 11 years of Derby with that organization, and I have nothing but good things to say. But yeah, I really do like playing with the league I'm in right now.
Is it an adjustment to how you play, and how so? Like what are the big differences? I would think just, yeah. Well, I'll let you say.
Yeah, I would consider myself. I was a pretty good point scorer, called a jammer, whenever I was with the women's league, and with I say the men's league only because it's called MIRDA. It's the Men's Derby Association. But again, like we do play all gender. I'm just not as successful of a point scorer, but I'm actually quite a successful blocker.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah. So
Nice. And that's like, but so yeah. So in this, in the all gender thing, that's your role. That's your position. That's what you're doing.
yes, and I love it.
And you enjoy it. You enjoy it. Yeah. You like putting you. So it's so funny is that because earlier you said it took you about 6 months to accept the fact that like this is a checking sport, and now like you're just hitting people for a living. It sounds like.
Yes.
Nice. My favorite part of hockey, but
I get it. I actually have a sister that I skate with, and she's actually my pack mate. And in the last year, my sister has made not one but 2 tournament MVPs.
Wow.
Not game MVPs, but the whole tournament.
Yeah.
When she wins, I win. Like
Nice.
it's just awesome. It's awesome. I watch her destroy people.
That's awesome. Nice. So what else? I think you had mentioned like 2 other things though that you I don't know, team oriented aspects of skating. I can't remember what they were.
I mean, I got into park skating a bit and trail skating.
Park skating. I was just talking to. So I had this Vanessa Reyes. She's like a Instagram skater, skating with V. And man, that stuff is like I'm 44. Okay. So like my heyday was like, I came up in the early 90s, mid 90s, like my day, like I came up when like the skate park, as far as skateboarding was really like street skating was like the thing. And I quad skated my whole life. I in the early 90s, I got into like aggressive inline. Right. But I only bring this up because if I were to tell you, if in 1993, if I would have showed up in my rink or at a skate park with quads on, it would have been a wrap. It would have been a wrap for me. And man, I am seeing these women out there just killing it in these pipes, in pools. It is so awesome.
Yep.
Like, are you doing that too?
Not any. I just do bowls and a couple of ramps.
That's still
I don't do
though.
any full 360s or anything. I've definitely done some things that I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't biff it.
Well, I was literally just talking to somebody about this because I remember the first time I skated a half pipe, and the fact is that like, or pool or whatever. The fact is that there is like everybody at some time, right? Because you watch these videos of people doing whatever. And I think what gets lost on a lot of people is the fact that there was a first, I think above everything else, the most challenging thing to do the first time is drop in. You know what I mean? So
you're gonna eat it.
Yeah, man, because nobody can properly explain how like what your body wants. Yeah, man. I remember, and it didn't even like you'd think that I'd have it somewhat figured out when I started dropping in backwards. Nope, face, bam, ramp. Like that was it. It's so funny. So I was literally talking to somebody about this the other day, and I was like, there are these things that like, and I never thought about it till that moment, but I was like, there are these things that like you will always hear the first time you're going to drop in, or just watching someone the first time. There's these things that you're always going to hear. And it's usually something like, you got this, dude. You got it. Cause you're standing up there just like thinking about it. Right. And invariably somebody there is just like, no, you got this. You can do this. I swear you can do it. And in your mind, you're like, no, I don't got this at all, but like I've seen that happen 1,000,000,001 times and see people eat it 1,000,000,001 times after basically getting like a Tony Robbins motivational speech from these friends, and standing on the coping, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, man. So you ate it first time too? I did.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's the butt slide.
Yeah,
always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Always.
Feet come right out.
Yep.
Yeah, no one can prepare you for it. No one can explain.
Nope. And they say all you want, like, no, lean all the way forward and you're just going to roll out of it. You don't know what that means until you're actually doing it.
No. It feels like it's way like, no, that would be way overcompensating. That would never work, Yeah. Where in Pittsburgh area is that happening?
Oh, actually, right down the street from me, I have an indoor skate park. It's called Switch and Signal.
I'm gonna be there soon.
Yeah, Switch and Signal in Swissvale.
Switching signal. Ooh, I gotta check that out.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of nice skate parks around here. There's one in Monroeville. There's one in Carnegie.
Nice.
Imperial, but theirs is it's metal. It's a little sketch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have to say, if you're going to try bowl skating or ramp skating, even just skating on the sidewalks and the streets, gear up.
Yeah.
There is no feeling like like you're leaving your skin behind on the asphalt.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, man. Yeah. There's a big difference between like a wood tax and a concrete tax. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, the older you get, that ground doesn't get any softer.
Oh,
I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Hell yeah. I don't bounce like I used to, man. Not at all.
I know, right? Right? I've gotten the opportunity to do a lot of cool things on skates. Just for the sake of saying I did it on skates.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that Key West to Key Largo, that was 111 miles.
Oh my God.
I was trying to do it in 3 days, but I had made the decision to have somebody with me, and they weren't able to keep the same pace that I was. So I still did it in 4, but I was gonna try for 3.
That was nice.
I did it with no toe stops because when I showed up, the person that I was doing the skate with showed up with no toe stops, and I was like, like we aren't really. She wasn't quite to the level that she was when we were 15, and
Okay.
and like she hadn't skated in a long time, and she's like, oh yeah, I can do this. So I gave her my toe stops, and I skated the whole thing with no toe stops, which. Interestingly enough, now any big long distance skates I do outside, I don't have toe stops. Yeah.
All right.
But it was the sand. Apparently, Hurricane Irma had taken out a lot of the Florida trail, so you'd be trucking along at a pretty good clip, and then all of a sudden it would go into grass and sand, and you're like, oh. So then you'd have to go into a full blown run. You'd have to hop off the road for a little bit, and then skate next to vehicles whipping past you, and of course honking their horn because you're a girl on roller skates. And it was an adventure, and I have skated on so many different surfaces in so many different places. The streets of Thailand. I skated all of Paris, and out of all the wild places that I've skated, that was the hardest and most difficult skate I've ever done.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was sandy and sweaty, and it was just the terrain is not very skatable.
Yeah.
I did it. The only part that I didn't do was across the 7 Mile Bridge. I hitchhiked.
Okay.
There's a picture of me somewhere with a sign. I've got my skates around my shoulder, and I'm in my socks, and I'm holding a sign that says "Ride across the bridge."
Oh man.
Somebody did pick me up.
Nice. There you go.
Yep.
So, did you ever get into like other than because I've seen you at Steel City? I think I've seen you. Maybe did I see you in Philly before? Philly event, possibly.
Is that like the 8 Wheels No Brakes?
No. Like some of the more recent ones, like Big Daddy Ray's events or anything like that. Or is it
I have not done any of those in a while. Me and my jam crew used to go to a lot of the skate grooves, which was the all night skates.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel hungover the next day if I stay up past 11 p.m.
Yeah. So, but as far as the event skating, like that's like the shuffle events and stuff like that, that's not something.
I used to do it a lot whenever I actually had people to skate with.
Yeah.
But it's one of the people that I've been skating with for a very long time. Unfortunately, he just moved to Texas. That's probably who you saw me with at the Steel City Shuffle event.
Okay.
My friend Eric. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember, so because you were rocking like this like early 90s like neon like jumpsuit, right?
Yeah.
But vibing, Heather, you're vibing. You're killer out there. I'm telling you. Because I remember like saying like I remember because it was the first event I ever went to, and the people I was like, "Yo, who's this? This girl is dope. Like this is crazy. Like you could tell like they're right. Like there's like almost like every style like is represented in what you do.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know?
you. Well, I mean, again, like I did. So just because I didn't compete doesn't mean that I didn't go to the jam skate competitions
Yeah.
because I love watching them. I love
Yeah.
watching those talented athletes. Um, but I mean, I've picked up something from everywhere I've went. Just with all the jam skating we did all over the tri-state and further area, we picked up a lot of different tricks and not tricks, but just styles. I've gotten an opportunity to skate with the the Steel City, a lot of the Steel City skaters, not roller derby, the Steel City, oh my gosh, what is their
Shuffle.
skate family? Yeah, the shuffle group here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And used to go to the skate grooves where, oh my goodness, if you get an opportunity, if you want to see some real, just undescribable talent, going to some of those all night skate groove events, you just see stuff that you didn't think was possible on roller skates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to see some cool stuff in Barcelona as well whenever I did the skate love event. It was very interesting. So you talk about different rinks have different corks and styles and environments. That's what it's like up there in Maine.
Yeah.
I've been to a few rinks in Canada, and I can say that's very similar.
Yeah.
I've kept track of all the roller rinks I've ever been to.
Nice.
And since I was 13, I have been to 144 roller rinks.
There you go.
And there are just certain rinks that you're like, I would say one of the weirdest ones was in Salt Lake City, Utah. They have these like little mechanical animals that you can ride on the rink, and you can rent a scooter, and you can push a stroller, and there was a mechanical bull on the side.
Oh my God.
So it was just, and then in there, they also had like a pump track, like a speed track that you could skate. It has like little ramps and everything.
Yeah.
All within the same building.
So some of the craziest stuff I've seen too was like in China, in Japan, like I've had a couple friends that skated there, like, and just some of a lot of them had pump tracks in the rinks, like just craziness, like, but it just looks exciting. I'll tell you that but did you go to like the 8 wheels no brakes stuff? Were you doing that back in the day?
No. I enjoy like the Steel City Shuffle event, and I enjoy that kind of stuff, but it depends on the people that I'm skating with, because sometimes they don't enjoy like more of house music and they like slower R&B stuff. It just depends on who I'm skating with. But.
Yeah, I'd say for me, like the best experience I've definitely had since coming back to skating, like as far as like me, like where I felt like I found my home was when I went to Roller Jam the first time in Staten Island, like, cause that Northeast vibe. But that Northeast vibe, like that's what I came up on. Like I wasn't, I love going to like USA Shuffle event and go down to Florida and skate my ass off for a couple days to like 128 BPM. But that's not where like I find like my real groove. You know what I'm saying? Like, and man, Roller Jam, like I was so sad when it closed. Like I could not believe it. Cause I remember I got in the door before the door and I could just hear it. And I was like, this is it. This is where I want to be, man. Like, I don't know if that's your vibe or not, but I
had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun being there. That was one of the last roller rinks I got to go to with my whole jam team before my teammate had passed away. I needed earplugs. I was only maybe like 26, 27 years old, and I needed earplugs.
Yeah, it's a club, man. It's a club. Like it was a club.
Yep.
We're actually going. I'm going with Jackie and Rob this weekend to Xanadu because they're doing that.
Oh yeah.
They have premiere in that documentary about Roller Jam, the last
Yeah.
roll. So I'm so stoked for that.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm so ready to go. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's the kind of the cool thing about, like, even though I stopped skating for so long, and when I got back into it, I mean, like, I got back into it like a few years ago, but like now there's like, because you had mentioned like you've been to like 144 rinks, right? Which is awesome, and I would kill to have that type of experience. So like, I guess my positives, because initially I get real kind of like, oh man, look at everything I missed. Right? Like, look at all this time I missed, all these opportunities I missed to do all this stuff. But then, like, I started thinking about it in a different way. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Like, I have so many firsts left that I probably would not have if I, never stopped or whatever, like this weekend, it's just this thing that I'm all pumped about. I have no clue what I'm walking in, like other than what people tell me, but like to be like 44 and still have those types of opportunities, man. I don't know. I don't know where I don't know where I'd find it other than this, but I don't know.
You're always exactly where you're supposed to be.
Hell yeah, man.
Always. You are. You're always where you're supposed to be. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's a Succosaurus Rex. But you're always where you're supposed to be.
No matter where you go, there you are. With all your bullshit in tow, right?
Yep, but just as long as you always have your roller skates with you.
Yeah, man. Don't check them things.
No, never check your skates. And if you play derby, never check your jersey or your mouth guard. Everything else can be borrowed. I have a fun picture. I was on a business trip in Thailand, and I got to fly back with nobody sitting next to me. So I put my skates in the window seat and I put the seatbelt on.
Yeah, man.
Like, when you love your skates so much, you let them get the window seat.
Is there no worse feeling than like going somewhere though, and then like realizing like, oh, like there's this amazing rink like only like miles away, and like you don't have your skates. Like I've had to experience that like twice.
Brownies, do it. No, I've skated in Brownies in Ireland and Singapore because I did not bring my skates, and in San Diego.
Okay.
There's nothing like showing up to a rink.
Yeah.
And you get brownies, and then you start doing your jam stuff. And people are like, "What?"
No, there are so many times where I've literally like gone up to people that I've never seen before, like at a rink, and been like, "You're way too good for those. Like, what's going on here?" Like, I'm actually traveling, or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
I never say it. I just say I'm like, "Oh, thank you. It's only my third time."
Yeah. Like, I literally never did this before. This is amazing, right? Oh my God. Can you imagine if I started like a month ago?
I'm going to sound like a horrible person in saying this, but there are sometimes whenever I'm wearing a hat and people are like, "Wow, I really like your hair." And for whatever reason, I can't help myself. And I say, "Thanks. It's actually just part of the hat."
That's what you say to people? Oh my God. That's hilarious, dude. That's some funny. That's what I do. Yo. You had just mentioned, I don't know if it's okay to ask you this, but and I had forgotten about it, because one of the people that had told me that you, or just was like, yeah, you got to get Heather on. You had just mentioned about your traveling for business in, would you say Thailand or Singapore? But, they were like, they're like, I can't tell you what it was she said she did, but she has the most amazing job, and she's like always traveling. Do you mind telling people what you do?
No, not at all. It's just not very easy to explain. I'm in the corrosion industry.
Okay. All right.
So, a lot of our infrastructure needs protected from corrosion, bridges and pipelines and wind turbines and industrial plants, and all of that metal, whenever it's exposed to the elements, it's subject to corrosion. So there's a couple of different ways that you can mitigate corrosion. And I got into the corrosion industry. I I lucked out. I fell into, nobody ever grows up and says they want to be a corrosion engineer. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
So
most people don't even know it exists, I think. You know what I mean?
correct. You don't say you want to be in corrosion when you grow up. You just fall into it.
Okay.
So I actually just made my 20th year in the corrosion industry. And yeah, I do corrosion work. And then a couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to start certifying corrosion technicians and teaching. I don't know if you know what cathodic protection systems are.
Of course.
Yeah, right. Who doesn't know what those are? So I get the opportunity to teach corrosion mitigation, and that's what I was over in Thailand doing. It was actually my very first assignment.
Wow.
Was I had just gotten the gig, and they were like, "Can you be in Thailand in 3 weeks?" And I'm like, "Let me clear my schedule." Yes, I can.
Yeah. Was that the first time you'd ever been there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. So yeah, I mean, the industry is super cool. I've gotten just a lot of wild opportunities to do inspections and teach, and I'm now writing the curriculum for people in the corrosion industry, which has been wild and fun and challenging. But,
so is most of what you're doing like for long-term preventative, or are you literally responding to like, hey, this thing is about to go because it's all corroded inside, like, or is it both?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. It's both mitigation, prevention, and just protecting assets overall. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people don't, like, you look at a bridge, you know, and like, you know, that amazing like rebar structure like has been covered in concrete for years, right? But what's underneath there, right? Like,
it depends if it has a cathodic protection system or not.
There you go.
So yeah, it's been great.
That's interesting.
Yep. When I was in Thailand, I had this really cool experience. I was skating the streets of Thailand in the little town that I was in. I was in Rayong, which is about 2 hours south of Bangkok. And you always see those images in the movies where, the white guy is walking down the street and all the village kids are like following behind him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he turns around, they all like giggle and they hide and they're all peeking out. I actually had that happen to me.
And there's like a couple other ones over here kickboxing on every corner. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I see in every movie. There's like Thailand. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you got followed though? Like,
I not only got followed, but I busted at least 3 people taking a picture of me. Only one of them asked. Only one of them.
Wow.
And 3 people, you know how your phone camera makes the
yep.
I was trying to like ask how much something was and trying to like negotiate, bargain, and just kind of like trying to manage in this market. And somebody next to him would be like, ka-chink. Like, dude, come on. You can just, I mean, I get it. I was in an area where I was told that there would be people that spoke English, and I hate going to another country and not speaking the native language.
Right.
I wish I had known, but I mean, I had 3 weeks notice to do this trip. So I did the best I could. I was trying to be very respectful of the local culture, but I was in an area where nobody knew English.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was very funny. It was very funny because people were sneaking pictures of me, and I definitely looked odd because not only was I on skates, but I'm kind of a tall girl with dreadlocks. So
yeah. In Thailand, that's crazy. That's awesome though. What an experience.
It was neat. Yep. I've gotten to skate a lot of different countries and surfaces, and I've actually skated on an airplane before.
All right.
In the air. Yeah.
Okay.
That was what had happened was I was sitting there and I had my skates with me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put them on. And I asked the flight attendant, I was like, hey, I got a really weird question. Whenever we're up in the air, can you take a picture of me? Because my logic was, if I get the flight attendant's buy-in, it's going to be, it's less of a chance that she's going to yell at me and I'm going to get in trouble.
Right.
She's like, yeah, sure. So about before we even took off, I hurried up and I put them on, and I was just sitting there with them on, and a couple of minutes into, like, whenever it was safe to actually stand up, the seatbelt light off and everything, she came back to me. She's like, "Oh, I'll take that picture for you if you'd like." I'm like, "Okay." So I stood up, and she goes, "Oh, you're on skates." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not really going to skate around. I just wanted the picture." And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, if you want to roll up a little bit." I'm like, "Is this lady seriously letting me do this?"
Is this like a packed flight too? Is it like this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I've got a couple of pictures of me skating on an airplane in the air. Another really challenging I took a boat tour in the, let me see, it was the San Francisco Bay, and I was taking a boat tour around Alcatraz Island.
Yep.
I had no idea how wild those waves were.
Yeah.
And the boat's going like this, and I'm trying to stand up on skates, and I'm pretty
God.
sure that more tourists were taking pictures of me trying to stand up than they were of the sights.
Jeez, man. So now, are you still sponsored at all?
No, Rydell, they do different sponsorship packages now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm very proud to say I was with them from, what was 2011? Yes, 2011. And then in 2023, they like redid their sponsorship packages and everything. So it was a perfect, I was transitioning out of having social media, and it was just, I was winding down with traveling and everything. So it was just a perfect timing. Still am obsessed with my Rydels, and I got a couple of skates. You want to see them?
Sure. You're rocking that Arius. I tell you.
Oh, so yeah, the fun story about the Arius is whenever the Arius was being developed, I should have brought it down because I still have it. I have one of the very first pairs of Arius. They are hand done, like you can see all the tooling marks and everything. And Rydell had asked me to test demo them. And they said, "We want you to just be as hard on these things as possible." I'm like, "Yes, you got it." So, yeah, I have a lot of different skates.
Got the halos on there.
Matching one there. Got Skate Live. Yeah. So these are the ones I mainly use for roller derby. These ones are like my outdoor skates.
So you're on the Arius doing roller derby. No kidding.
Oh yes. I would never skate on anything else. I would never skate on anything else. I love them.
It's crazy. And the thing is so like, because I was on a 45 my entire life. Like I was always on.
Was it the Magnums?
No, I like, I don't even remember the last plate. Like coming up, I think it was some type of, it was probably like a Snyder or something like that. But like,
oh, okay. I always thought
the
Snyder was super straight.
No, not Snyder. Jeez, can't even think of it. But I was always on a high boot though too. Like there were no speed skates in my rink, right? It was like always on a high boot. Not the Snyder. I don't know.
Is it Sugar Grip?
It might have been. This is like, you're talking. I'm like 1990. Well, no, I mean you figure the last set I got was like 96. So
were they white?
The plates?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
But either way, I was always on a 45. When I first started skating again, this time I like got like the Avanti Sure Grip that like I got this all in one package initially. I wasn't sure how long I was gonna stick around. And then I ended up like, getting like a 595 boot, which a red line, which I absolutely love to this day.
595s are pretty great.
I love it. But I had gotten like a Reactor Pro, right? And which is the straightest kingpin I've ever had. And so like I knew I wanted to get back. I wanted to get back to something. And it's so funny because I mean, like, there's such a split down the middle as far as opinion about the Arius, right? Like people are like, oh, it's the worst thing ever, or it's like the greatest thing ever, right? And like that's what I would hear from people all the time, right? Like anytime I was
Wow.
inquiring about it, it was like it's 50-50 split. But here's what I found out though, or what I realized by talking to lots of different people was everyone that swears by it, they literally they utilize the same action that I utilize. Like I'm rolling my ankles completely all the time, right? Like I love a ton of action. And the people that didn't like it, they were very all eight on the floor all the time, never on their edges, straight ahead. I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense. So I did it. I literally only got the Arius a couple months ago. There was zero adjustment period. I mean, it was like I stood up and I knew. I was like, I am home. I swear to God, Heather, like 2 months ago, I skated better like within minutes of putting them on than I probably had in like the last year. It's crazy. I love them. I absolutely love them.
Oh yeah. They're awesome. One of the things I really like about this, especially for roller derby, is the roller derby track is so tight and these things turn for you.
Yeah.
Whenever roller derby teams were first starting to come up, there was the whole action of loosening up your trucks.
Yeah.
That loose truck action is not turning for you. That's just giving a lot of play in your wheels. But the cool thing about this is that they not only turn with your movement, you only lean slightly and they make that turn for you. So it does so much work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I absolutely, I do a lot less work on these for derby.
Do you use different harnesses on your cushions for derby versus just skating, or do you not even notice?
I prefer the light blue cushions. But I've got, in my outdoor wheels, I've got yellows and, honestly, I kind of adjust to whatever's in there.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. Well, that's what because when I had the reactor, like I would have to loosen my trucks a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing it's funny is coming up as a kid, I never changed my cushions once. Right.
No.
Never. Right. Then I get on this reactor. I'm fatter than I ever was as a kid, obviously. And I'm chewing through those cushions like just crazy, right? So I had to go to Ron Murray. He had to like make me like 94 or like cushions, which basically like would almost pop. It would pop apart. You know what I mean? Like but we settled on like a 92. That was like perfect. But I didn't want to have to chew through cushions all the time either. I love my Arius. I absolutely do.
Oh yeah. So. This is my most recent skates. I do want to show these because I'm absolutely in love with them.
Ooh.
Got this, and then we have my other sides here. Somebody kind of ruined this for me though, because I love chickens. I have a couple of chickens in my backyard, and I totally dig the water scene, the mermaids. So I've got my my rooster and my mermaid, and somebody was like, "You got a cock on one skate and a naked lady on the other." Like, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for throwing that in there. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Man.
Yep.
Well, man, we've hit like an hour 28 minutes already. Hour 27. Is there anything that you wanted to throw out there? Anything that you wanted to mention or just say or whatever? Mic's yours, time's yours. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to say.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. If you ever get the opportunity to skate naked, do it.
Okay. I distinctly remember about 30 minutes ago you saying about pad up. You know what I mean? Like, but I guess you're not talking about outside, I guess, right? You're not talking about outside?
No. Sometimes if you have a friend that works at a rink, sometimes they kind of let you in through the window, and after the place is closed up and you have the opportunity to
Okay. Well, this is firsthand experience that we're talking about, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, you feel wind in places you've never felt wind before.
There you go. It's so, what's so funny about that? So like when I first put the Sk8LikeYou website up and started doing this stuff, I made designed a couple shirts, and I'm like, well, how do I want to like throw this out? Like I'm not trying to make money. I was just trying to pay for the site basically, and do this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, how do I like what's a clever way to like advertise this? Like when I put post this link up on, on Facebook, whatever. And it was like, but it was literally like, it was like skate like you gear, because skating naked is dangerous or something like that. You know what I mean? And I literally like used like, we don't have to take our clothes off, like as the song in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
I mean,
marketing genius is, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Try skating with just a Skate Like You shirt.
There you go. I'm going to make some Skate Like You thongs. I guess what it is.
If that's going to be the closest you can get. Hey, if you go to the Skate Love Barcelona event, the whole event is right next to the nude beach.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right. Yo, I don't even like wearing shorts when I skate. I look down and I'm like, that looks horrible, right? Like everyone else looks fine in shorts, I think. I see myself, especially in the wintertime, when my legs are as white. And I look like a floating torso out there. You know what I mean? If I have like, it's crazy. Like I just look yeah. I despise, I can't imagine being oh my God, naked skating.
It's just something you have to do at least once.
Yeah. When you see me on the news, you know what I mean? Like getting thrown in the back of a cruiser butt naked with some skates on.
Don't do it in public.
I know that guy.
Actually, do you remember the streaker from the Buffalo Bills game a couple of years ago?
Yes.
He is a phenomenal roller derby player, and I actually just played him 3 weeks ago.
No kidding.
His derby name is Senior Wiener, and he skates for Toronto.
Of course it is.
Yes. And somebody had taken his image, like his running image, his silhouette, and they replaced it with the streak on the Buffalo Bills logo. And they sold his image with roller skates as a fundraiser for his court fees.
I was going to ask you. So this guy, like what happens as a result of that? Like what is he
not good things. No. He was in a lot of trouble.
God, yeah.
Good for him though. He made it so far. But the derby community just absolutely exploded on it. Of course there were memes going around everywhere saying, that's really good form. Yeah, he's definitely going to make it through the pack.
That's crazy. Man, I've never met a streaker before.
Yeah. And he's a pretty great dude too.
Yeah, man. Where is he play? And he plays for your team?
Toronto. No, he plays for Toronto.
Toronto. You said that.
Yeah.
All
just
right.
Played against him a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Well, Heather, this has been awesome. I feel like there's so much more. I feel like you probably have.
I know, right?
So to be continued. You know what I mean? Maybe, possibly, whatever.
Yeah.
And will I see you? Will I see you at Steel City though in July?
Oh, for sure. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Steel City Shuffle for sure. That event. Were you weren't at the one last year? Were you?
Yeah.
Some of my old Jam Skate teammates actually popped up out the woodwork and
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, last year wasn't the windbreaker year. That was 2 years ago. By the way, that windbreaker does not move. You couldn't do any floor work in it. It was too tight.
I feel like I've seen you in it more than once though. Is that possible?
It's possible.
Maybe. I don't know.
It was ridiculous outfits.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
This year will be, I don't know. Give me a theme.
Oh, I don't know. Jeez, a theme.
Yeah. What are we dressing up as? We got like, I don't know. Just not like fur or anything. It's in July. It's a hot.
Oh my God. Yeah. Fraggle Rock. That's the theme.
Oh, perfect. I'll be Mowgli. Or Red.
Yeah.
Red. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't be one of those stupid dozers. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Wembley. That was my dude.
Oh yeah.
And the heap. That heap used to freak me out. The trash heap.
That's what you'll turn into at the end of the night. Just the
heap, man. It was like, because the heap, and then like whatever Chet got turned into in Weird Science when he was like, remember like the older brother when she
blob, yeah.
I think it was a big piece of shit. Honestly, I think that's.
I was going to say he deserved to be transformed.
It was. She definitely turned him into a big piece of caca. Like that definitely was what that was, man. I was just talking to somebody about Chet. Like he's like one of the best like bullies of '80s flicks, man. He was so good.
Sure. Yep.
Stewed buttwad. Love that guy.
Now you had no empathy for him when when she got him.
Funniest part though is when he opens his closet. I'm not a moron though, and he opens and closes the closet with his grandparents' catatonic in there, and like it doesn't even realize. It takes him like a second to register. He was so good. He really was good in that role. He really was.
No, for sure.
Don't get me started on 80s movies if you want to do anything other than that. Let me tell you.
No, I mean, well, you already mentioned a Jim Henson one. I grew up on the Dark Crystal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
The Sk8LikeYou.
Did you see the Netflix reboot?
Yeah, I was, that was...
I liked it.
I liked all the behind the scenes stuff. I really liked having, like, seeing all that stuff. But yeah. I'm just such an OG for like that original kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something about that being on film versus like digital that just, I don't know. I was all about the Skeksis though, man. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Those things were so badass.
Don't know how I have chickens today.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while I'm like, you are a Skeksis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should name one of my chickens Chamberlain.
Yeah. Yeah. That and Labyrinth. That was the other one.
Yeah. Right.
It was a little bit later, but it was good.
That was still late 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Still that whole Jim Henson thing, man, like that. Oh,
yeah.
So good.
The Never Ending Story was a good one too. You can't talk about the traumatizing 80s without talking about the Never Ending Story.
That friggin' horse. Atreyu with Artex.
No, don't you? No, we don't mention Artex. Nope. Nope.
I'm just telling you that. Yeah, there's probably some deep-seated shit I got going on, unresolved. You know what I mean? Because of that.
If this generation wants to understand, I mean, because you and I are right about the age. I don't know if you have kids or not. But yeah, I don't either. But for all of my friends that have kids that are really trying to understand why we are the way we are, just watch The Dark Crystal and The Never Ending Story, and it just that'll explain a lot.
I mean, and that kid, I don't know, but I don't know his real name.
Atreyu?
Yeah, I know Atreyu, but I don't know his real name. But he sold that. You know what I mean? Like he is his performance there was just, because I remember like going, because a lot of those things you go back, you watch as an adult and you're like, it doesn't hit the same, right? You're like, this is cheesy, or like, this is, how did I ever bite? I don't know. I watch him cry to this day, yanking on that friggin' horse. And I'm a mess, man. I'm a mess. I got to call off work the next day and shit. Nope. It's just not, but he sold the hell out of it.
Yep.
But
the next generation after us only has one single episode of Futurama that traumatized them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I wasn't a big Futurama person. But.
Okay, then never mind. For those who know, they know I'm talking about the episode called Jurassic Park. Don't watch it.
Okay. I feel like I have a nephew though that his thing was like The Lion King, watching the dad go down.
Oh, all right.
Then, like for like my older brother, and I think even maybe like my mom, like it was Bambi's mom. You know what I mean? Like that was
yeah.
That was a straight up shot its mom, like in the first 5 minutes of the movie. You know what I mean? But anyway,
yeah. Yep.
We're off the rails.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, it's totally me. We're like in some cheap version of Siskel and Ebert all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like wallowing in emotionalism over 80s flicks.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I love talking about skating, but we go off on other tangents, and it just it's so much fun.
Well, this is like the travel conversation right here. Like this would be, like absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Heather. Well, I got to take my dog out. It's waiting for me. Long overdue. But
I got to go check on my Skeksis. I mean, my chickens.
The chickens. Chamberlain. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. It was better than I had even hoped for, and I hoped for a lot. So, thank you. I can't wait to watch this back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This was an absolute delight.
All right, and I will see you in July.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Take care.